Hello, and welcome to the Great Game Debate podcast, where friends come together to talk about video games and our lives. As always, I'll be your host, Kate Berthe Lane, and joining me better this week for recovering from sickness, the godfather of the debate himself, Jonah Gomez. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. We're back, baby.
Wow.
Woo!
Audio listeners are missing out. Very cool. And of course, we would not be complete without our man in the closet, Wes Bates. How's it going, buddy? How's the weather in the closet this week?
And it's fine. I'm a little bit disappointed that nobody else is recording from a closet this week. After Sal, so graciously decided to, mirror mine in his recording last week. But, I'll get over it by sharing some useless video game trivia. So, let's talk Witcher 3.
Oh, please.
You guys may not realize, but there was a really cool mechanic from Witcher 3 that was cut from the battle system that they just never used, wherein Geralt had this kind of Witcher sense. He has a Witcher sense in the game, but in this case it was like a battle sense where it would kind of like allow him to kind of go into like an X-ray vision version of the enemies that he's fighting, almost thinking kind of like a VAT style. And you could target specific limbs or portions or like organs and stuff like that, and it looked really, really cool. I saw I think like a screenshot of it somewhere that was posted, and unfortunately that was something that was cut out of the game. But just imagine if you could like pause the game and have Geralt like use his Witcher sense to like tactically, like, I don't know, like,
we lost X-ray vision, got pirouettes. Bummer.
Exactly.
Right?
A couple other real quick ones. Did you know that there's a ghost ship in the game? It appears once a day. It's like north of Skellige. If you're like cruising around this specific time, it'll appear for just a couple of seconds and then like dive down into the ocean.
That's cool. Never seen that.
Whoa. Yeah, so if you're like, cruising around in your boat in The Witcher 3, you can go like find that ghost ship somewhere.
Yeah, keep your eyes peeled during the witching hour.
I also read that the game Gwent, the person that created that game, created it while he was taking a bath, and he came up with the entire rule set of the game of Gwent during the course of the time that he was taking a bath.
Genius.
He had like a weekend to conceptualize this game, and he came up with Gwent over the weekend, specifically while he was just taking a bath, which I thought was like insane.
Yeah.
Turns out he was in the bath for like 4 hours and he came out as a raisin.
It's not that far off, to be honest. I went to they had a PAX panel years ago and they told that story, and they were like the whole night was just in the bathtub thinking about Gwent. I was like, wow, all right.
Well, dear listeners, the sultry tones you're hearing now are coming from none other than writer and reviewer from Prima Games and returning guest Jesse Vitelli. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Happy to be back.
Welcome back.
Hanging out with
Good
the
to have you.
I'm I'm impressed that Caden said Prima Games properly this time, unlike last time.
That is right.
Jesse's taught me well. Jesse's taught me well. Well, unfortunately, this week we'll be missing the saucy Steven just due to scheduling conflicts, but we're happy to have Jesse filling in Steven's place. Jesse, you've been busy. This year I started listening to Axe of the Blood God, and I just caught your guest episode on there about dragoons and JRPGs. That was pretty entertaining.
Yeah, that was a good one. Those are good folks over there. I love when they have me on Axe of the Blood God.
Yeah, very cool.
People. Yeah, it's been a busy year.
Yeah, we've been hearing you all over the place. I've heard you on Game Informer content a few times this year as well.
Yeah, they had me on their Bastion episode of Video Gameography.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, it's a hell of a game. It turns out Bastion's still a great game.
Yeah.
I played it
100%.
last year all the way through again, and it holds up really well.
Yeah, that soundtrack just something else. So good.
Yeah, no kidding.
Supergiant doesn't miss.
No,
Yeah.
they don't.
Waiting for the next one. All right, y'all. Hope you stopped by Mesa City and stole Sly Cooper's cane from the thievius raccoonus himself, because it's time for the icebreaker. Alrighty. This question comes in this week from friend of the show and mod of the Discord and community member Hunter Pearson. What was the best video game magazine growing up, and why do you think it was the best? I'll go ahead and toss this one right over to you, Jesse. Seeing as how you now work for a video game publication. Curious to hear what you read growing up.
I think I'm legally supposed to say Prima Games, just the
Right.
strategy guides as a whole. I don't know. I feel like legally I have to say that at least. But I did love. I don't know. Do you consider those a magazine? I guess probably not. I read a lot of like Nintendo Power.
Yeah.
That was a big one for me. I mean, obviously Game Informer was a huge one, I'm sure for all of us. But yeah, between those two, those were probably my like staple, like my quintessential reading every month, right? It
Mhm.
was like, okay, I got my Nintendo Power, I got my Game Informer. Like, please don't make me choose. Those are like my two children.
Right.
But definitely like those were my staples, and I never really read like an EGM or I think PlayStation had one for a while going on. I never really got those. Convincing my parents to buy me video game magazines was like a whole other can of worms. So I was lucky. I got what I got. And I was like, okay, this is what I will read.
hmm Yeah, just jumping off of that, it's pretty similar to myself. I was mostly a Nintendo Power kid, and most of my strategy guides are the Prima ones. So some of the reading I would do for fun would just be to sit and read through a strategy guide for a video game. But yeah, I don't know how, but Game Informer never really like came into my sphere of awareness. So yeah, but I was hooked on Nintendo Power, like to the point where I had a subscription. It was getting mailed to my house. Loved the reader questions section where they had like art that people drew on the envelopes, and that was like the
Yeah, the
border
envelope
of
art. Yeah.
the mail-in
So good.
section. Yeah, but some of the games I found out about through there, it was just a different time back then. It's kind of like this hype cycle we're going through with like Summer Game Fest now is just kind of like that was the experience you had in the lead up to like an individual video game release. Like you get, 1, 2, 3 articles on like Tales of Symphonia or Custom Robo or some crap like that, Pikmin. So, what about you, Jenna?
Uh, I've always been a Game Informer kid. I don't think I ever got into any other like magazines. Mostly because I just get my Game Informer with like the GameStop thing, and it was like what, like $15 for a year. So I mean, it was the cheapest one, and
Right.
I mean it's still ongoing. So I mean that's awesome too. So I mean
Yeah.
I think that's like one of the only uh video game magazines. I know PC Gamer, they still have their magazine, I think, but like
Mhm.
Edge is the other one that's still going.
which one?
Yeah.
Edge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
European, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And
They
the
always have beautiful
Nintendo.
covers though. I love the Edge covers.
Yeah. So Nintendo Power doing like a podcast now. They kind of like quasi resurrected it as a
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
or
It
something.
shows up so randomly. It's like, here's an
Yeah.
episode, see you in 6 months. You're
Yeah.
like,
Right.
okay.
Exactly.
Like a direct.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about US?
I also had Nintendo Power. I think I'm the old man of this group, so
Oh, sure.
I remember when Nintendo Power came out.
Yeah.
Originally I was like 6, I think, something like
Wow.
that. I remember the very first issue for Super Mario Brothers 2 coming out.
hmm
My babysitter's kids got it, and I'm like, "Oh, I need to have that." And so I was an early investor in Nintendo Power, and had a subscription for years and years and years until I went to college, and then I became a Game Informer convert. But I'm gonna throw something a little that you guys might not have heard about before out there. And this was literally my favorite magazine to buy from the store. I didn't have a subscription, but whenever we would go to the store, to the supermarket, I would immediately go to the magazine section. I'd sit there and like thumb through, well, pretty much all the game magazines. But there was one in
hmm
particular that I absolutely loved, which was called Die Hard Game Fan magazine. Has
Never
anybody
heard of
ever
it.
heard of Die Hard Game
No.
Fan?
No.
Okay, so obviously they're not a thing anymore. But the thing I loved about Die Hard Game Fan was their spreads. They had these huge 2-page like spreads where they would just take screenshots of the game and just like blow them up like huge, and they were like really like vibrantly colored and just really really well done and enticing. And they would have I feel like they were less about like news and that kind of stuff, and really more focused on kind of like featuring games and what's cool about games and what games were upcoming. And they would have
Nice.
all these like screens from games that in a lot of cases I remember like never even came out over in the
Oh, wow.
States. So they would have screenshots from Japan for stuff like I remember seeing like this big spread for Seiken Densetsu 3, which as you guys know only like really came out here a couple of years ago in the Mana collection. And I was like blown away. I was like, this is a game I gotta play because I was a big Secret of Mana fan. And then like that was really all I ever had of it because it never it never came here.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was like crying reading my Die Hard Game Fan magazine. The pages are soaked in tears, because we never got that.
Wow,
But
that's really
that was
interesting.
a great magazine, and I wish it was still around.
Very cool, very cool.
One thing I did want to, while we were talking about physical media, it is not a magazine, but I do have this that I picked up recently, and
Oh,
it is the
wow.
Pandemonium official strategy guide from
Holy
Crystal
crap.
Dynamics themselves. And I just kind of had it
Wow.
sitting on my desk, and like just cover art wise, just absolutely stunning.
Yeah, that's a super weird
cool.
game.
This field, yeah. Just in a like I got it like at PAX like years ago, and it's just like in this bag, and it's just been sitting on my desk for like 3 years.
One day it shall
I
be
played the
passed
game.
on.
At first, when I saw that, I thought it was like an old Scooby Doo comic because the homeboy on there looks like Shaggy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
Nice.
I used to have a
Right,
copy of
so-
Nintendo Power around somewhere, but I can't find that within arm's distance.
Yeah, I had
Yeah, I think
all my magazines saved and then moved out of the house, and
I
then
had
my
the
parents moved. Don't know if they're even still around.
yeah,
I had the Wii
mine were
reveal somewhere.
all destroyed, unfortunately.
Destroyed.
Do you guys remember in Nintendo Power again, maybe before you guys were reading Nintendo Power, but they used to have the comics section, and they had
Mhm.
like the Link to the Past comic, and they had like a Star Fox comic and a Super Metroid comic,
That's cool.
and they would include that, and you would get like every month they would include like a chunk of the comic.
That's
It
cool.
was
That's cool.
it was neat the way that it was organized with like the player's pulse with the mail-in art and stuff like that. And they had like the section where it was like cheat codes and like
Yeah.
glitches for
Cheat Code
games.
Central, I think it was.
Yeah, it was
what
just a fun
called.
magazine.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Hey,
Moving
Levy.
on. Yeah, thanks again to Hunter for the question. Great question. And we'll move right along into our debate. So I'll turn things over to the judge, Jonah Gomez.
And we are back. I don't have a camera anymore. Discord decided to be real cool and just cut it out. So the rest of the show will be me without my camera. That being said, we have a dope-ass debate. We are doing a Persona 5 Confidants debate with Jesse representing Goro Akechi? Right? Did I say it right? Okay.
Yeah, my baby boy.
Nice confidence.
And Wes
Confidence in the
representing
confidants.
Wes representing Miss Kawakami.
Mm-hmm.
There
right.
we go. God, this is gonna be difficult for me. Anyway, as always, we have our 2-minute opening statement, our 2-minute rebuttal, and our 2-minute close for each of the debaters, with our man Caden Berthay Lane being the assist trophy today.
Me.
You can call on Caden at any point in your debate, and he will assist you for 30 seconds. He will add an additional 30 seconds and assist for that.
Disclaimer, I've played 30 hours of Persona 5, which sounds like a lot to someone who's unfamiliar with Persona 5, and it's really not a lot.
Caden, I've played 0, so
Right.
you
It
got
is a
Played
preparation.
5 and Royal, both in full.
That's insane. That's
So-
insane.
I got it. Don't worry,
We should
baby.
we should probably make this statement before we get started. There will be spoilers in
Mhm.
this debate. So if you have not played Persona 5 Royal, you might want to skip ahead in the show because there's going to be some spoilers here.
Be honest, if you haven't played the game, by the time you start it and get to the point where the information's relevant for spoilers, you'll probably have forgotten it. So
All right, Jesse, with you being our guest, would you like to start or close the debate?
I would like to close.
Okay. Wes, you have 2 minutes on the clock, sir. Are you ready?
I am ready.
3, 2, 1, debate.
Okay, one of the best things that I like about Persona 5 Royal is the game is got a lot of comedic moments in it. It's got a lot of shenanigans. So not only are you tearing it up through these palaces, acting all cool, but there's a lot of comedy littered through the game. And Miss Kawakami, who is your homeroom teacher at high school, her confidant starts with a bit of shenanigans. So she's your homeroom teacher, but you also find out that she works for a maid service that you can hire and have her come over and clean for you and call you master and all this other fun stuff. So you end up kind of a bunch of high school boys end up finding their homeroom teacher is a maid that they can call and have her come over and do their bidding whenever they want, so on and so forth, and shenanigans ensue. But actually her confidant turns into a very sweet story. You find out actually what a committed teacher she is. She's got a kind of a tragic backstory with one of her students. But the great thing about Kawakami are the perks that you get as you level her up. She has some of the best perks in the game. In a game about time management, Kawakami's confidant is one of the best confidants to actually make the most efficient use of your time. As you rank her up, she allows you to spend time in her classroom doing other stuff instead of paying attention in class, so that you can, increase social
30
stats,
seconds.
rather than, wasting time doing that after class. Also, as you max out her confidant, she is able to give you a massage after you come back from mementos or from a palace, so that you can actually go out at night. Because normally there's a dumb cat that tells you must be tired, you shouldn't go out at night, blah 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 blah. But with Kawakami around,
Time.
you don't have to worry about that.
right.
All right. Jesse, how are you feeling after those opening thoughts?
I'm feeling all right.
Feeling pretty good?
A lot of good points were brought up.
Yeah. All right.
Feeling strong.
Are you ready for your opening thoughts?
Yes.
All right. 3,
Let me
2,
pull up my notes. Okay.
1, debate.
Okay, so Goro Akechi is somebody, I think, if you've played Persona 5, you don't get a lot from Goro, but when you play Persona 5 Royal, you get a lot more, because the confidant goes from automatic to manual, and you actually have to choose to go spend time with Goro. And I think one of the most important parts is that one of the first things you do with Akechi is you play pool, and I think that's a really good allegory for detective work, because you have to look at all the angles, and they're very smart about the way they position playing billiards with each other. And Joker immediately realizes that Akechi uses his right hand even though he's left-handed, and he says he's ambidextrous, and that's how Joker learns that he's actually holding back some of his power. And Akechi gains a great deal of respect for Joker. He's like, I understand why we can be seen as equals, because there's something unique about you. You pick up on things that other people don't. And so I think billiards is a really interesting way to contextualize Joker and Akechi's sort of frenemy relationship that eventually unravels throughout the course of the game. And there's a really good scene, I think it's in the third or fourth rank with Akechi, where Akechi gets noticed by a group of students because he's he's a famous kid detective, and Joker puts his glasses on Akechi and shakes his hair up so he looks like Joker, and they're both sitting at a cafe, and Akechi's like, next, you gotta warn me before you do that next time, we gotta be more careful. And then Akechi's like, well, what would you look like if I dressed you up like you? Obviously we would have to do it this way and be very structured. And it kind of shows the two approaches
30
of,
seconds.
Joker Joker kind of just flying by the seat of his pants, where Akechi is very like prim and proper and calculated and cold and sort of detached in a lot of interesting ways. And I think it just kind of mirrors Joker. Like Akechi and Joker are opposites, but for some reason they work really well together, despite the fact that they're on similar paths, but Joker and Akechi are always going to clash at the end. They're always going to end in conflict. And maybe in a different life they could have been friends or partners, but
I love how you described their relationship as unraveling, and I was like, I think he meant to say unfold, but then I was like, no, unraveling is like the perfect way to describe their relationship.
All right, I'm digging this. I'm getting to learn about these characters that I literally know nothing about.
Yeah,
this is super fun. Remember, you guys both still have your assist trophy. Wes, you got 2 minutes on the clock for your closing, your rebuttal. Are you ready?
I would like to open my rebuttal with my assist trophy.
All right.
If you don't mind.
Caden, I got 30 seconds on the clock. Wes will jump right in after his 30 seconds. Caden, 3, 2, 1, debate.
So the problem with Akechi is, as the story unfolds, he really just kind of becomes irredeemable, and you sort of lose respect for him, in my opinion. Spoilers are on the table, but Akechi has access to the cognitive realm, same as the Phantom Thieves, and he uses his power to drive people against their
5
will,
seconds.
invading their mind, to psychotic breaks to murder people, and then solves their crimes to further his own detective career.
Time.
Just super scumbag level.
Yeah, so as Caden just alluded to, I think he'd be better off named Goro Akechi, because this dude is sketch AF. I mean, honestly, what a d-bag. From the minute that you meet him, this pompous, pretentious jerk is putting down your entire team. He's constantly throwing the intent and the actions of the Phantom Thieves under the bus to the public. He's a public figure, so he's very famous, as was mentioned. This is a guy that walks around in the middle of summer wearing a trench coat and gloves. Like, who does that? I mean, he's got some like greasy, long, nasty hair that, it's like, get a haircut, man. Come on. But yeah, he kind of plays like he's your rival and he's your friend, but he's totally intends to stab you in the back. And he even at the end of his confidant, he reveals that he actually hates Joker. He's always hated Joker, and the reason that he hates Joker is because they have the exact same life circumstances. Life threw them under the bus, and Joker chooses to stand and rise above that, and Akechi just can't stand the fact that, Joker was able to take those circumstances and turn them into something positive when he has not been able to do the same thing, and he has completely fallen down to the point where he basically just loses his mind by the end of the game. And he, like Caden alluded to, he's essentially one of the main antagonists of the game, and he's evil. He's absolutely evil. He hates your party. He truly hates Joker, and all the time that he spends with you is kind of like been for nothing. I don't know why the game even. There you go.
Sorry. Normally I'd have like a 5-second visual countdown, but because I don't have a camera right now, I can't give you that 5-second visual countdown. Jesse,
No problem.
I got 2 minutes on the clock for you. Are you ready?
Okay. To rebut Kawakami, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Mhm. Yes.
Got it.
For your rebuttal. Oops.
I'm ready when you are.
3, 2, 1, debate.
So look, I love Kawakami. I truly agree with everything you say. However, there's like one big sticking point with me for Kawakami, and that is she is your teacher, and you can romance her at the end of that confidant rank, and that is a big power dynamic problem. And I think that completely undoes a lot of what they are trying to do here, because like, yes, Kawakami loves her students. I totally believe that. But I think when you cross that line, the same way you do with the doctor in Persona 5, I think when you have adults and high schoolers, I think like you just lose me, and like that is like where I can't like deal with those confidants, and I think that is like a larger Persona problem. I don't think that is exclusive to Kawakami or the Doctor or Persona 4 or 3 or any of them, but that is like my biggest sticking point with Kawakami, and it's just like power dynamics and dealing with like relationships with high schoolers, and like that's really all. That's like the only problem I have with Kawakami. Otherwise, like I agree with everything you have said. I cede the rest of my time.
Oh, leaving a full minute on the table.
Whoa.
It's like truly like that is the only problem.
Yeah.
With that.
I mean, it is
Potent point.
a very potent point. All right, Jesse, just a reminder, you still have your Sis trophy on the table. Wes, are you ready for the closing thoughts?
Yep.
2 minutes. Ready, set, debate.
Okay, so the point that Jesse brings to the table it's a very good point, and honestly, like the whole, like beginning of the game with your very first palace, going up against Kamoshida and the things that he does, the relationships that he involves himself in with high school students, it would be hypocritical to, basically, to not recognize the fact that you're essentially doing the same thing with Kawakami. However, that being said, that is optional. You do not have to enter that kind of relationship with her. It's on the table, but it's an option you don't have to take. There are many, many ladies in the game that you can choose to involve yourself with. It doesn't necessarily have to be Kawakami. It doesn't necessarily have to be anybody. You don't have to take an option to do a romance. So, good point, Jesse. I totally recognize that. But I feel like that's kind of like up to the player to, make that decision or not. That said, I do still... Oh, one of the things I forgot to point out, when you get Kawakami to rank 10, you unlock a new persona that you can't get any other way, which is pretty cool. And I don't know that there are a whole lot of other confidants that you unlock another persona with by doing that. All in all, I think Kawakami has a very sweet story. I think once you really understand what's going on with her, why she's doing what she's doing, she's having to actually pay off the guardians of one of her former students who died in a tragic accident, and she's kind of like blamed for his death, even though she was just trying to help him. And she feels a lot of guilt, and Joker helps her overcome that. And they become a lot closer through that whole thing, and he kind of helps her through it. And I think it's real sweet, and I think that you get a lot of really good stuff by going through that confidant with her. And it's something that any player that's playing Persona 5 Royal should invest in.
Time.
For sure.
All right, Jesse, you still have your assist trophy. If you want to start out or close out with Caden, you can, or you don't have to use them at all.
I think I might call on Caden in the middle of this.
In the middle? Okay.
I think that's maybe where I am.
Okay. Making my life real easy. I appreciate it. All right. Jesse, you got 2 minutes on the clock. Caden, when he calls on you, already have the timer set. Just roll straight into it.
Gotcha.
3, 2, 1, debate.
Okay, so to address the stuff about Akechi being irredeemable and full of hatred, like, yes, like, he is full of hatred, and that is, like, what distinctly makes him different from Joker, which is, like, why I think that they are two sides of the same coin. One is fueled by hatred, while the other is fueled by, like, friendship and love and hope. That being said, I also think that when you are dealing on the like, after you learn about Akechi's backstory and you learn about like why he is twisted the way he is, after you learn about his family and all the things that are going on and like why he is the problem in the cognitive world, I think it becomes like very clear that like he had a very bad upbringing, and so did Joker, but like he chose one route and Joker chose the other. However, I think when he says that he's full of hatred and how he hates the Phantom Thieves, I think that is true to a certain extent. I also think he is pushing them away because in that final scene with Akechi on the ship, like, he does the ultimate thing he can and gets them out of there, even though it means, like, the end of him. And, like, Royal goes into a whole bunch of other stuff in the back third, which I think, like, further strengthens Akechi, but I don't want to get into. I don't have enough time to get into it, but also, like, I think, like, people should experience that, like on their own. Like, I think the back third of Royal is really, really good and helps further cement Akechi as, like, one of the greatest characters in that video game. But Akechi, like, truly is a worked individual, but he is always vying to be part. He wants to be part of the fandom things, but he knows he's
30
not good
seconds.
enough. He knows that he is, like, he is down, he is out, like, he couldn't be part of them. Like, he doesn't have that love in his heart, but he wishes so much that he did. But because of his upbringing and the path that he chose, like, him and Joker are always going to clash at the end. And, like, I think that is, like, a really well done trope in Persona 5. And I'm gonna call on Caden right now before I run out of time.
You have
Alright.
you have 10 seconds afterwards.
So my problem with Kawakami is that, you know, she's doing this maid service where it's heavily implied that she's doing sex work. No shame on sex workers, gotta normalize that. But she's only making 5,000 yen, which you, a high school student, are able to pay her by making that money by doing a part-time job, like working at a burger shop or at a convenience store. And she even asks you, like,
10
hey, you
seconds.
know any part-time jobs? You've got all this money. And it's like, she probably could just be working at the library or the convenience store and not having to be a sex worker, you know? It's just like, why are you doing this?
Jesse, you got 10 seconds.
Akechi lets you renegotiate with demons, and that's a really powerful tool. That's, like, a really, really good tool to have. If you fail the negotiation, you can redo it.
Time. All right. Woo!
You can't hear my
Okay.
claps
That's
because it's being
intense.
filtered out by Discord.
That's intense. That was
Dude,
a lot.
this is an interesting one.
You can
for
tell there's
sure.
a lot of passion over the characters of this game.
Yeah,
You
no.
spend a lot of time with the characters.
Before I give my vote, Caden, let's hear what you got.
Well, I had to smack talk Akechi because I was called upon to do so. But you know, for me, this game is like the kind of game that's less about the gameplay and more about the story. The story and the characters' relationships and developments are, you know, what's kind of pulling me along more so than the gameplay. And while, you know, Kawakami's confidant story as it unfolds is kind of charming and shows you the good side of her, it really doesn't feel like it has a whole lot to do with the main plot. So, you know, while her gameplay ramifications are like super dope for increasing her confidant, I actually just appreciate kind of the points about the story that Jesse brought for Akechi more. I spent like an hour today watching, like, you know, a video of all of the confidant, you know, cutscenes for Akechi, and it's just I don't know. I thought he was. I was surprised to hear that, like, the community at large, like, pretty much hates Akechi, because I thought his relationship with Joker was very complex and three-dimensional and really interesting. How they're both kind of like not opposites so much as two sides of the same coin, and Akechi just took the wrong path and he doesn't know how to get out of it. And yeah, so you know, all that to say, I think I'm going with Akechi on this one, so Jesse gets my vote. Sorry, what's
It should be noted, Caden, that none of the confidant stories actually matter to the core of the story, with the exception of Akechi.
should have chose
Like, they're-
Akechi then?
They're
I don't know what
actual,
to say.
they're
There's
actual
one other.
confidant. Well, maybe Morgana. I don't know, but I haven't gone that far.
Yeah.
But
That was the other thing, is I was like, I feel bad bringing Akechi for this reason, but, like, I have to represent my boy.
Yeah.
yeah, but most of the confidants that you have, they're just, you know, like, side quest, side story, not actually like pertinent to.
Yeah, because they are optional, so
Yeah.
could just ignore them all.
Man, this is hard for me to pick because you guys brought a lot about
You have
both
no
these
bias.
characters.
You have no
yeah,
personal
I
bias.
literally know nothing about these characters. But you know, Wes, you got me really good with the Goro sketchy joke. I really,
The humor.
you really got me with that. Yeah, I'm
That was a good line.
gonna give my point to Wes. You got me really good with that. With that that joke. And then Jesse, you brought the point where you can seduce a teacher and like, or romance a teacher and get in a relationship. But Wes's counter, where that's optional, that doesn't need to be a thing. It can just be a platonic relationship with your teacher, which it should be, is I think he defended that very well, and so I'm gonna go with Wes and give my point to Wes on this debate.
Jonah just had to ask himself, is invading people's minds and causing them to have a psychotic break and murder other people worse than having sexual relationships with high schoolers? I guess it is.
It's debatable, I suppose.
Let's
That's
not
why we debated it.
Let's not have that debate. We don't need to go any deeper into this and that.
Yeah.
All right. We'll go over the scores for last week's debate. We had Caden representing Dead Space 2. Who debated last week? Was it Sal or was it
Justin?
Justin represented Outlast for the ultimate horror game debate. Leading by 3 points was Caden with Dead Space 2.
Ooh. Dang, you guys slammed me so hard during the debate. I was like, there's no way that I'm going to win. But
Yeah.
the love for Dead Space 2 came out of the woodwork, I guess.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just checked this like an hour ago, and man, the bunch of
Oh, was it like a last minute swing?
It seems like it. Yeah, like a
My gratitude to all
last minute upset.
fellow Dead Space 2 fans in the community. Justin defended himself well.
First time.
Oh yeah.
The other day.
Nice.
I only got like 3 hours in, but that's a scary game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
I replayed the second one before the debate, and like, man, that game is just really good. But
also, if you'd like to vote for this debate, you can vote on the Cast Your Votes channel on the Discord, or we will also be taking YouTube comments as votes as well. So put your comments or put your votes in the comments, and we will read them. And with that, we'll move on to the pitch.
All right, gentlemen, it is now time for the pitch, wherein a few of us panelists will have 2 minutes to give an elevator pitch for a game we've been playing and try to convince the rest of us to buy the game without knowing exactly what it is. So first up to the pitcher's mound, I'll go ahead and nominate you, Jonah. I know you've been playing something, so Wes, you can give him a countdown when you're ready.
Jonah, you ready to pitch?
I am.
All right, 3, 2, 1, pitch.
All right, pitching something a little different from what I'm used to playing. I'm playing kind of a massive game, honestly. It's a pretty big, well-known game. It's got super in-depth character customization, fantastic RPG elements. It's co-op, and you know, the story is a blast. You get to make all these insane decisions, and you know, the gameplay's real fun. A lot of high risk reward decisions that you have to make. I'm gonna keep my my pitch pretty short on this one, but yeah, I've played with a couple people, and I've played with like pretty big numbers of people. It's pretty sick, and that'll be it.
Okay.
Huh.
All right. So interesting. Caden, what do you think?
You know, on paper, it sounds amazing. A well-known, massive RPG with co-op, which is the weird thing, which I can't really think of anything. So, you know, I'm gonna buy it, but I'm waiting for the rug to be pulled out from under me and find out this is like Genshin Impact or something. And the high-risk decisions are: will you or will you not spend money on a Wish? yeah.
What do you think, Jesse?
So I was about to get really, really excited because I thought I knew what this was until the decision part came in. I'm still in. I love co-op. I love RPG. Like everything you've said. Like checks every box on like the Jesse Vitelli will play this video game. So I'm in. And I feel like if I said I wasn't in, I would be very upset when I find out what this game is because I'm gonna want to play it.
Right.
Okay, for me, I'm sorry, I didn't get enough detail here, Jonah.
Yeah,
I want to know more about this before I jump in. And honestly, for me, it's doing co-op is always just really tough, lining up schedules
Yeah.
and everything like that. So
Honestly, that's
doesn't-
the hardest part of this game.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like something that's like super up my alley based on the details that I did get. So I think I'm gonna hold off on this one.
Okay.
But I appreciate the pitch anyway.
Jesse, real quick, what did you think it was?
I thought it was Final Fantasy 14.
No.
I know.
In your dreams.
Caden.
If I said no and it was, I would have been so mad.
Caden.
I would have been so mad.
I would have laughed so hard if you said no to this because I'm literally pitching Dungeons and Dragons right now.
Really good.
Hell yeah. Makes so much sense in hindsight. Yeah, the co-op is the hardest part.
Yep.
Because it's the scheduling conflicts.
That was clever. That was really, really clever.
Dungeons and Dragons, more like scheduling and conflicts.
Yeah, I thought you would have liked that one the most. I was like, I can't get too deep into this because Caden's gonna pick up on it immediately. Because I was gonna talk about like, go more in depth with the character creation, but I'm like, if I talk about having to create a backstory for your character, he's gonna pick up on it immediately.
I don't know. I think like in my head, thinking it has to be a video game, I never would have
Okay.
sniffed you out. But yeah,
Roll a
so
lot of die.
yeah. So for the
That was
low
a
price
good,
of
a good misdirection.
yeah. I guess you can get in on this game for the low price of $0 if you just illegally download a PDF, or as much as like $50 to several $100s, depending on how obsessed you get.
Or
with it.
if you meet a DM like our DM on our Discord,
very true.
Dan Gieslin, he just lets us use all his books on D&D Beyond. So I mean, it's nice. There is technically a video game aspect to it because we have D&D Beyond and then we use Foundry. So we do use a program to play this game. So I guess it's not super far off.
Well,
My
I could have
book somewhere.
Yeah.
I got Xanthars and
all
Monster
the
Handbook.
player
I play a lot of
options and everything.
Yeah. All
I
right.
have a part-time job as an online game master now, so
Oh heck
it's
yeah!
like
Yeah, so if you
D&D
need
like
it-
5
if
days
you
a
need it-
week.
If you need a DM, hit up Caden.
Oh, yeah.
My campaign just ended. My 5-year-long campaign just ended.
Whoa.
Oh,
Oh.
I'll tell you about that later.
1 to 20, baby.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So yeah, great pitch from Jonah there. Moving right along to Jesse, you brought something for us, so I'll let Jonah count you down.
All right, sir. You got 2 minutes on the clock. Are you ready to pitch?
Yeah, I'm good. Ooh, another 2 minutes. All right.
All right.
No pressure.
3, 2, 1, pitch.
All right. So today, I'm bringing y'all a game that is about hope. It's about friendship. It's about overcoming the obstacles. It is an RPG. It has combat by some of the best in the biz. It is about a world that there's an inherent sadness here, you know. It's pretty sad, but I think the messaging rings true throughout the entirety of the story. If you like story-based RPGs, I think this game is for you. I think if you love a great soundtrack, this game is for you. I think if you like a good combat, this game is for you. I think it has a plethora of different environments. I think it is visually pretty striking. It is a harrowing journey from start to end. I think you will laugh, you will cry, you will scream, you might get sick, I don't know. But I think like if you are somebody who enjoys buy the box, play the game, get the entire experience, no microtransactions, no DLC, none of that. It is what it is, and you play it, and maybe it's a little confusing, but then, you know, maybe you're compelled to go into the wiki and the lore and read up on the game and its characters and its story. I think it has some of the best characters in the medium. hands down.
30 seconds.
I think this game stands the test of time and will, and I think it is an experience that might be replicated or done in the future, but will stand on its own as its own thing and be lauded for that for years to come. That's my pick.
Wow.
Ooh, leaving 10 seconds exactly on the board.
Okay. Let me hear what you have to say first, Wes. What were your heads up?
Put it in my veins.
Yeah.
I mean, like you're speaking my language, man. Like everything you said was like I felt myself starting to drool a little bit. You know? So, I'm on
The
board.
line there stands the test of time. Makes me think it must be older than I first thought. But I also can't think of too many JRPGs where they're considered to have the best combat in the biz, besides what a lot of people, I guess, don't usually think of as JRPGs, which are the Souls games. So like I'm thinking it might be a Souls game, but even if it's not, like you said, like all those boxes just sound right up my alley and perfect. What about you, Jonah?
See, the only Souls game I've gotten into is Elden Ring, and it was checking off some of those boxes, but he said friendship. And I don't know how much friendship there is in the Souls
That's a
game.
good
Alexandra
point.
Warrior Jar, heard of him?
I mean, he is my boy, but yeah, I'll bite.
3 for 3. Please reveal, Jesse, the game that you have brought.
Have you heard of a game called Near Replicant, baby?
Oh, let's go!
Oh,
Yes!
it's so
I even
obvious
said-
in
I even said
hindsight.
replicated in the
Oh,
in
he
the
got us.
description.
Oh,
I
That
love
was a
it.
great pitch.
I
I
love
love
that.
it. I love it. And
Yeah.
I am so glad I bought in on that game because I love Nier.
Yeah.
yeah.
And you got
Amazing.
platinum on it. Like platinum came back and helped with the combat on that game. So that's where you get your best in
Yeah.
the biz
Yep.
combat
There you
developer.
go.
I'm
Yeah.
glad-
I loved what I played of that game. I didn't finish it. I need to go back and finish it.
I
got
it
it-
could've
I got
been
into-
Automata
I got
too,
into
guess.
Persona, and
Could've been
then
either or, but
Nier just went to the wayside. But
yeah.
I rolled the
Replicant,
first set of credits.
On
Nice.
Replicant,
Yeah, on Replicant.
you got to see that the last ending. I know it's a trek, but it is worth it.
It's so hard, especially like just some of the ways they change up the gameplay, and it's like I don't want to sit here and read this much anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Hey,
Well-
quick question before we move on for Jesse. So Jesse, I know you're a big fan of Final Fantasy 14. Did you play the Nier content in
The
14?
Nier content is some of the best content, not
Oh, okay.
only in 14 but Nier related. It's so good.
Yeah.
They do, and like no spoilers, like story content wise, but they do Nier remixes of the music with the Final Fantasy like prelude, like interwoven in the Nier
Wow.
music.
That's
Like they
Oh.
mix the music in
I need to hear
such
that.
incredible ways. Like
Yeah.
they do, like they'll do like Weight of the World from Automata, and like
Mhm.
have Final Fantasy the prelude like going underneath it. Like they do some really just bonkers music stuff in the Nier content.
Have you
Man, I gotta
played?
check that out.
It's incredible.
Have you played the weird little mobile game that they came out with?
I have not, but what I will say is that at some point it's in Japan already, but they are taking my favorite Final Fantasy 14 character, one by the name of Emmett Selk, a problematic war criminal, but my boy. As you can tell, I have a thing with Goro Akechi.
Akechi, yeah.
Problematic
He likes
character.
the bad boys, everybody.
Sure, your
they're
favorite
putting-
Berserk character is
they're-
Griffith, isn't it?
they're putting 14 characters in near reincarnation. They're doing like another crossover, and the scenario writer for Shadowbringers, which is Emmett Selk's like expansion, is coming back to write like an Emmett Selk story in near reincarnation. So whenever that comes over to the West, I'm playing that mobile game.
I love
Wow.
that you talk about it like comic book people talk about like their different writers for like comics and stuff. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, very cool. Great pitch, Jesse. Not only were we all fooled, but we were all happy with our decision.
Yep.
Wombo
very
combo. All right, and I'll be last, Jonah, if you just want to count me down when you're ready.
3, 2, 1, pitch.
All right, so continuing the theme of RPGs. In this game, you're in a fantasy world on the edge of a frontier of an unexplored land. and you form your own guild out of adventurers to explore the land in an airship, stopping from point of interest to point of interest. You go into different kinds of caves, ruins, ancient mazes or labyrinths of all kinds, filled with monstrous creatures hell-bent on your destruction, many of which you can't destroy because they're too powerful. So a large part of the gameplay is maneuvering around monsters that will basically one-shot your party. There's no autosave. If you die, party wipe, you lose the progress. So it's high stakes. Character customization, choosing the classes, multi-classing, choosing the weapons and armor, making that perfect party composition to deal with the situation you're in. And a huge part of the game is actually, since you're on this frontier, you're having to actually map out the locales that you're going to, because you're like the first people that have ever been there. So a large part of the gameplay is actually making your own map, deciding what's important to put on the map for your notes for the next times that you come back. And what else? The story just is actually very interesting, because at first it's just like, oh, it's a weird unknown frontiers. There's just monsters. But then you get to a certain land and you're exploring this vast forest, and you find out there's like a different race of sentient beings that have been hiding in this forest the whole entire time. And you're like the first people that have ever made contact with them. But yeah, just a lot of really cool, great gameplay, super chill. Nice story. Yeah. Anime aesthetic.
Dude, I have no idea what this game is.
Can I take problem with one thing that you said?
Yeah.
You were like, there are monsters that will one-shot you. It's a super chill game.
Right, yeah. Weird that I'm just vibing with that right now. Like, I don't know, it's just doing it for me.
I'm like stressed out with everything you're
Yeah,
saying.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
It's super chill. Like it's a good.
It's like
time.
Mr. X chasing you, as long as you like don't stop running, like he's never gonna catch you. It's no big deal.
So is that a yes or a no, Jesse?
Oh, yeah. I need to know. Yeah, I'm in. Sure, let's go. Like monsters one shot you. There's a forest that it apparently recontextualizes some of this game. Like, yeah, put it in me. Like, let's go. I'm going mouthful mode. Let's go.
What do you think, Jonah?
I don't know. You know what? I think I'm gonna sit this one out.
Yeah, I think it's fair to amend my pitch in hindsight that it is not a chill game. It's actually intense, but I'm just vibing with it, you know.
Sometimes that's chill. Sometimes when you're in it, you're like, this isn't it.
Yeah.
This is chill. I get it.
I think I know what this game is. Actually.
Yes, please.
And I am going to buy in simply because I think I actually own or have owned this game already. And if I'm right about what it is, then I enjoyed this game also.
What do you think it is?
What do I think it is? Are you okay if I
Yeah.
reveal what I think it is? I think it's Etrian Odyssey 4.
Wow, hit the nail on the head.
Wow.
What a stellar guess. Not only do you own this game, but you've played it, and I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I didn't
pretty wild.
I didn't finish it, but I did put some hours into this game.
It's a series I've never touched.
Yeah,
There's a new one coming out.
Really?
Did
That
I
must
make
be
that up?
6? I don't know.
Didn't Nintendo show something? Did I make this up? Is that
I'm
Star
not aware
Ocean?
of this. Yeah, it's probably something weird.
There is a new Star Ocean coming. Yeah.
Nintendo announced something like a while
Yeah, yeah,
back.
yeah, yeah.
It kind of looked like Xenoblade, but it wasn't Xenoblade. It was something. Maybe it's Star Ocean. I get those series confused. All.
My only like hang up with like jumping back into this is it's a 3DS game, and I'd have to get out my 3DS to play it. So
yeah, so Jonah, you dodged a bullet because you'd have to buy a 3DS and drop like $70 on an eBay used copy with no case or whatever.
Yeah, I dodged a huge bullet.
Now, this game, it's one of those games where it's like really hard at first, because as you keep progressing through the game, they layer on new gameplay mechanics that make the game easier. Like, you get items that allow you to like fast travel, and you get special abilities that you like build up meter for that can like knock out enemies in one hit, and like you get the ability to multi-class. But yeah, something's just really doing it for me. It's just this very like The game just has like this very like methodical pace to it. For those who don't know, these like old style like traditional dungeon crawlers, it's kind of like first person, and you're like moving one square at a time through like a
Mhm.
dungeon.
Yep.
And the compared to like Western dungeon crawlers though, where they've got like really bad real-time combat, this is like turn-based random battles. But on top of the turn-based random battles, as I was explaining before, they have these enemies called foes, which are like visible on the map, and they're just kind of like bosses that have a territory, like a route that they patrol. And if you get too close to them, they start chasing you, and then you have to like outmaneuver them. And it's like part of progressing through the levels, but yeah, it just there's something very satisfying about going through those labyrinths and just making your map and putting a little star where you found a treasure chest, put a little check mark with like a blue sparkle on it where there's like a spring that can refill your mana
Yeah.
and like it's
That
just
part is really unique, but I will like totally go against the statement that it's a chill game. I mean, that is
yeah,
not a chill.
it's not
It's
not
not a
really.
chill game. Like the enemies in that game, even the regular enemies are
What's
super hard. So
what kind of like is throws people off about it at first is like most JRPGs, you're like going from like one save point to the next save point, and usually save points like refill your HP and whatever. And like your only save point in this game is the town where you start. So like when you leave town, if you die or you don't make it back to town, you just like lose all that progress. And you kind of have to develop this mindset of like, I'm just going to go as far as my resources can take me. It's like my black mage and my white mage are out of mana. Time to go back, even though I haven't explored this floor entirely. And then, the next time you go back, you'll be stronger because you leveled up and you can go farther. And just that like inch by inch, like uncovering the mystery of what's going on is like very compelling to me right now. So yeah, I've just been really getting into it. So
nice.
yeah.
Good
Cool,
pitch.
cool.
Good pitch.
Thank you.
That was very
All
good.
Hopefully, I'll show some more Enshrine Odyssey fans in the West. But moving on to our final segment, the game, I'll hand things over to our resident game master, Wes Bates.
All right, we're bringing back a classic. I don't even remember the last time that we played Video Game 20 Questions. It's been
a while, yeah.
It's been a hot minute, but we're gonna bring it back this week. I've got a game in mind. What I don't have in hand is a pen. Mark down how many questions we've done. So while I search for a pen, I will say you guys have 20 yes or no questions to um, figure out which game I'm thinking of. They have to be yes or no questions. After we'll go in like round robin order, and you'll have 20 seconds to guess. So it'll go like Jesse, Jonah, Caden, Jesse, Jonah, Caden. If you don't ask a question within 20 seconds, then you lose your question, and you lose your your. Wow, I really cannot find a pen that works. All
Oh
right,
no!
switching to a pencil.
Yo,
It's all
pocket
good.
knife, just
So
split your finger open.
yeah, I'll just like mark, like
Whiteboard.
carve
Yeah.
on the wall. So after 7 questions, I'll give you a minute to talk amongst yourselves, see what you can see if you can figure it out. So you'll have 20 questions plus 1 guess. If you guess the wrong game, then you lose the game. So make sure you think you know what it is before you ask. Any questions before we get started?
No, sir.
Does that count as a question?
No. Actually, yes. That's 2 questions down
Damn.
off the board. All right. Let me bring up my timer. Jesse, you get to kick it off. 20 seconds. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Go.
Does it have multiplayer?
No.
Question.
Jonah.
Is it an exclusive?
It used to be an exclusive.
Timed exclusive. Okay.
So that's not
Interesting.
exactly a yes or no, but
Timed
Caden.
exclusive.
Was this game made by a Japanese developer?
yes. Jesse.
Is it part of a franchise?
Yes. Jonah.
Did this game release on the PS4, Xbox One generation?
No. Caden.
Does this game have the words final or fantasy in the title?
No. Jesse.
Was this game made before the year 2000?
No. All right, that's 7 questions. So I'm going to give you guys a minute, and you can talk about what you think it is. All right,
So,
go.
Post 2000 Japanese developed game with no multiplayer, timed exclusive, was not on the PS4, Xbox One generation.
Didn't launch.
Does that include the Switch?
Well, it wasn't in the questions.
It wasn't in
Yeah,
the
okay,
question.
cool. I think we might be looking at a Nintendo game. We might.
Yeah. Well, we really need to hone in on this as a genre.
Well, I
we
guess-
just know it's not multiplayer.
I guess if it's a timed exclusive, maybe that doesn't make sense. Genre, yeah.
Would West do Monster Hunter Rise?
Maybe. But that's
Oh.
Oh,
multiplayer.
that is
doesn't multiplayer.
multiplayer. Okay, never mind.
There have been like some Square Enix games that have been timed exclusive on
Yeah.
the Switch, though, right?
10
is there
seconds.
is there a Metal Gear game that was an exclusive at ever? Timed exclusive?
Um,
Oh,
And
what about
time? Jonah, it's your question. Ready, go.
Did this game launch on a Nintendo console?
Nope. Caden.
Oh, that changes my whole thing.
okay. Does this game feature turn-based combat?
No. Jesse.
Is it a horror game?
Hmm.
No. That's 10 questions. Jonah.
Is this a narrative-driven game?
Yes.
Ah.
Caden.
Is this a first-party title?
No. Jesse.
Timed. Was this game published by Square Enix?
No.
Good question.
Jonah.
Is this game an RPG?
No. That's 14. So, you get another- you get
that's
another
a good
minute.
question.
You get another minute starting now.
So what timed exclusive non-RPG Japanese narrative-driven games do we?
Resident
I thought it
Evil
was
4?
Resident Evil 4. But the thing about Resident Evil 4 was we asked a question, did it launch on a Nintendo console?
Shit
And
launched
did
on
it launch on the
GameCube.
GameCube?
Yeah.
That was when I was
Yeah.
like, oh, that changed what I thought it was.
I thought it launched on the PS2 and then went. No, I had it
It
backwards. It,
launched
was
on
some
the
GameCube.
But we still got the same answer we were looking for, which was, is it Resident Evil 4?
Are we assuming this is like PS3, Xbox 360 generation?
I mean, that's kind of where I'm at, but
Because if it wasn't on PS4 and Xbox and it's a time exclusive, then we're somehow talking about like a current gen game, which seems
Well,
unlikely.
my second guess along the lines of Resident Evil
10
4
seconds.
is still Capcom. Do you think it could be
Does anyone know any Japanese narrative-based games?
Devil May
Shining
Cry?
is- That was PS4, right?
Devil May Cry?
Time.
2?
Time.
1?
All right. So,
Those are two.
Caden, you're kicking things off.
Oh man.
Starting right now. Go.
Does this game have an anime aesthetic?
It does. Yes. Jonah. Or sorry, Jesse.
Is it published by Bandai Namco?
It is not. Jonah.
Is it published by Capcom?
No, it is not. Caden.
Oh my lord. Is this game a visual novel?
It is not. Jesse.
We don't have a genre yet. Is it a puzzle game?
No, it's
I mean,
not.
is narrative driven a genre? I don't know.
Oh yeah, I guess. I don't know. Oh man.
All right, this is the last question. Jonah.
Oh, is it? Oh no. We're doing so bad.
Did this game launch on the PS2?
Yes.
A little too late.
All right, that is 20 questions. I will give you 1 minute to deliberate amongst yourselves, see if we can figure out what this game is.
Well, at least we know it's
Starting
PS2.
now.
Is it Okami?
That's Capcom.
Oh,
isn't it? So
So it's not
a
Capcom,
problem.
it's not Bandai, it's not Square Enix.
Yeah, who does that leave? Like,
Konami
Konami's a good guess, but it has an anime aesthetic. PS2 Konami game.
Like my only thing left are like the Metal Gear games.
Yeah, which I
But,
don't
like
think.
they don't fit the
I don't think
profile.
anime aesthetic fits
Yeah,
for
and
that.
like they don't think they were timed exclusives. But
Timed exclusive.
who published? Oh, I guess Legend of Dragoon is a
Square.
RPG.
Yeah, I
from
can't
Square,
think of
yeah.
anything. Can't think
That
of
was
anything.
PS1. What am I thinking of? Kingdom Hearts was Square, so all that goes out the window.
Yeah.
Dude, this
10
is
seconds.
Do any of the Persona games have they been eliminated
Oh.
from this yet? Like, who
Atlas?
publishes
Oh
those?
my
Atlas,
God,
right?
Atlas.
Sega, we're looking at
All
Sega
right,
maybe.
that's a
Second
minute.
Atlas.
That's a minute. I need
I feel like-
a guess.
I feel like we have to let Jesse take the reins on this one. A Sega or Atlas PS2 JRPG. Just throw something
That's
out.
like my
but-
weakest point.
I will.
Um,
I should mention. You guys asked the question as an RPG. I said no.
yeah. Like, okay, so my guess
Rap of the rappers.
is
Isn't it?
Yakuza. Like, I don't know.
That's a good guess. It's not the right guess.
Okay.
Published in 2001 by Konami, a Hideo Kojima game, Zone of the Enders.
Oh, Zone of the Enders. This one
there.
just
I was there. I had Konami. I was going Metal
you
Gear.
guys,
I wasn't
you guys,
Yeah.
anywhere
you guys
else.
were on the right
we were
track.
homing in.
You were on the
We
right
had like
track.
5 more questions. Yeah.
But unfortunately, you didn't make it this time. So
Caden, we got Rusty.
it was a good
Jonah,
try.
have you even ever heard of Zone of the Enders?
I've heard of Zone of the Enders. I know nothing about it though.
Yeah.
It had a Metal Gear demo, or was it Metal Gear that had a Zone of the Enders demo?
Metal Gear Solid 2 demo came with Zone of the Enders.
With Zone of the Enders, yeah,
Mhm.
okay. And then
That's how they got people to buy that game.
Yeah, and then they brought it back for PSVR like probably like 4 or 5
On
years ago.
VR? Wow.
Yeah,
they had
What?
PSVR. Zone of the Enders 2 came out 2 years later in 2003
Yeah,
as well.
and then
so
they
it had
packaged them
sequel.
together in like the remastered collection or some weird name.
Yeah. I believe the remastered is
Is that Red Faction or
Yeah,
Red
that's
Faction.
Red
Yeah.
Faction.
They
that
had
game's
some
low key,
weird
like super
name.
fun, by the way.
Red Faction?
Red Faction Gorilla specifically.
Yeah.
The environment and like building destruction in that game is so fun. But yeah, great one, Wes. You got us.
That was really good.
Yeah. Wow. All right. Well, we did it. Thank you again, Wes, as always, for coming up with the game for us. It's always a pleasure. Highlight of the show for me. And with that, folks, we made it to the end of the podcast. Congratulations. So we'll just go around real quick and give our final thoughts here. As our guest, Jesse, I'll give you final thoughts first. Just literally anything that's on your mind or anything that you're doing that you want to shamelessly plug, you've got the floor.
All right. Thank you very much. First of all, final thoughts.
Mhm.
Like, thank you for having me. I always have a blast when I'm on here chopping it up with
Yay.
y'all. Like, it's always a great time. If y'all are not listening to the Great Games Debate and you happen to stumble upon this because I tweeted a link maybe or something, like follow. This is a good show. Y'all, more people should be listening to this. That is my final thought. If you want to follow me on Twitter at Jesse Vitelli. If you go to Mama Vitelli, you'll find me there. I work Prima Games. You'll find all sorts of video game guides. You're probably more likely to find me on the internet if you Google a problem in a video game and find something I've worked on. It's probably like the most efficient pipeline to find my work because it's mostly just guides. But yeah, otherwise, like, thank you. Like, again, thank you. This was a blast, Wes. That was an excellent debate. Like, really,
Yeah,
you
thank you.
really brought
Likewise.
it. And yeah, thank you.
Awesome. All right. Jonah, you got any housekeeping for us?
I do, but I figured out why Jesse likes all the bad boys.
Oh.
It's because Mama Vitelli can't put down his sons.
I got them all. I can't. My precious babies. Yeah.
Anyway, I want to give a big thank you to everyone that's donated for our SGDQ summer donation. We are recording this a week early, so this will come out after Summer Games Done Quick has wrapped up, so I won't know what the total we fundraised to donate for it. But that'll go out on the Wind Waker speed run. I think that's when we were gonna do our donations. But I wore my cool Great Game Debate shirt to show it off, and then Discord decided to not let my webcam work, so you guys don't get to see it anymore if you're watching the video version. But you can find that stuff at redbubble.com. Type in Great Game Debate or GGD and find our merch. Make sure it's from Great Game Debate Podcast, or it's GGD Podcast. That's us. That's our store. We had people steal our stuff, steal our design, and start putting it on shirts and stuff. So make sure you're getting it from GGD Podcast on Redbubble. That's all I got. Thank you
All
for
right, thank
joining
you.
us, Jesse.
Thank you for having me. Always a pleasure.
Wes, final thoughts?
Yeah, I just want to send out a quick apology for the way the show turned out last week, where we lost like the back end of the show, where we were talking about all the super great stuff that we saw in the last couple of weeks of showcases. Big shout out and thanks to our friends Justin and Sal for joining us for that discussion. And I'm sorry that nobody else got to listen to it. It was really great, and just the way it happens sometimes. But I also just wanted to give a shout out to Jesse. If you haven't checked out Neon White yet, that is a really cool game to check out and watch. And Jesse's been tearing up the leaderboards from what I can see, because I've been watching our good friend Rob try to catch him on a lot of the levels in some of the streams over on their on his stream lately. So check that out. Thanks Jesse again for joining us, and it was great having you as always.
Yeah,
Dude,
thank you.
the neon white beef between Jesse and the Alexes over at Game Informer is unreal on Twitter. It's so funny.
They work hard. I work harder. Is just how.
I love that you're like, go look at the leaderboards, and then Statnik's like, what leaderboards?
It has just been like we're eventually gonna reach a point where like we just hit a wall and we can't figure out how to beat each other's times, but that has not happened yet. And so it has been really fun to just, that game is, if you have not checked out like that game, oh, that game is so good. It's currently my game of the year. Like,
Yeah.
that is where my line is.
It looks pretty tight.
What are you playing it on?
I'm playing it on PC. I've heard the Switch version is good. It just has separate leaderboards. So like, if you want to be like friend leaderboards with like pretty much everyone else, like most people are playing on Steam, like most of us are playing on Steam. But that game I heard runs great on Switch. So
That's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, I've been your host, Katie Bear Thin Lane, and you can find us on YouTube. If you search Great Game Debate Podcast, our Twitter is great Game Debate, spelled DEB, the number 8. And either of those places or any of our personal Twitters, you should find a permanent link to our Discord to join in the fun, just nerding out in a non-toxic, wholesome environment. All kinds of nerd media. And my final thoughts are, I'm just very love-hate with Capcom and upset at them that they're making it so hard for people like me and Jesse to just migrate from Switch to PC on Sunbreak. But as always, happy gaming. Bye.
Bye.
As always, a big thank you to our friend Misdriven for the music in our podcast. If you like what you hear and you want to check out more of what they have, you can pay them a visit on Twitter at MIST_RIVEN 719 or on Bandcamp at Misdriven. Thanks again for tuning in. Till next time.
There's an easy solution for this, Jonah. Just take your camera and tip it down, 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 down.
Hey.
There you go.
Let's be like,
Little
yo,
lower.
what's
Sorry,
up?
a little lower.
Oh
can still
God,
see
what
your face.
happened? I don't know what
Oh,
happened. Why did
no.
it stop?
This is a beautiful image.
Oh, I come back and this is what
And
happens.
rowdy.
Oh,
That's the thumbnail for the episode right there.
That's some.
Gameplay 2 for Persona 5 Royal?
What is the you know that meme of those two guys? It's like one of those Wojak memes, and they're both like,